Awesome. So disclaimer out. We got people in. Very good. Okay, so let's move on with it. There's happy Thursday, by the way. So as you clearly see, that's me. I'm so happy that we got to put this together for you all. I'm working with these great guys. We've learned a lot, and then also we've been excited to share with you those things that are making life easier for agents. Certainly, you can see here. My name is Andy Detweiler. What I did or have been doing, just to not bore you with me, but for the last 2.5 decades, I've been serving real estate agents, investors, and small businesses direct mail marketing. Over the course of that time, we've expanded on opportunities for convenience and ease of marketing. But at the end of the day, here we're trying to leverage technology to increase your response rates, which have been dismal. I know that. I'm in direct mail to save you money, save you time. I think those are valid things that we can all agree we would like to, and be more efficient with your marketing, right? So if I could save you time, save you money, and be more efficient with your marketing, then we've accomplished our goal. That goal is not obtained if I didn't have data to drive it. And what's important about it is that the revolution of that data drives marketing. If you don't have efficient data, then you're not going to drive marketing. And if you have marketing and you don't have data, you can't do anything with it. So today, what we're going to do is introduce you, or maybe know Matt. So Matt Lamont is not only a good buddy of mine. We've worked closely for the last maybe 10, 12
Yeah,
years or
10 year.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
10,
so
10 or over.
10 or over. So we've worked together a lot, and we have a lot of the same methodologies. It's like and this is a terminology we've used a lot. I think it sounds silly, but it's like how many licks to the center of a lollipop, right? And we know analysis paralysis. We know people are like, oh, I don't want to send mail. It's no good. And so what we wanted to do today is show you what we've been developing where we combine data, that's Matt, and then direct mail marketing, omni-channel marketing, multi-touch marketing, all that good stuff with what we call PRINTgenie. PRINTgenie is the evolution and innovation of at its finest with direct mail marketing. And we're going to go over that today with you. So a couple things to consider, right? We'll go over and give you plenty of opportunity to ask questions. That's not, obviously, we're going to do that. In the meantime, you might want to mute so Matt can present properly. And then once he kind of says, okay, let's do some Q&As, we'll jump into that. But what I'm going to do is allow Matt to kind of to run this one, and then we'll do a little bit of banter back and forth. But that's the brief intro, and I'm happy that you guys are here today. I'm sure you'll walk away with a lot more information than you had before. So with that said, Mr. Lamont, let me grab this for you. Okay, so you should be able to take over your screen at this point, and then I'll get,
Cool beans. Let's see.
yeah, look for that big green button. Awesome. I can
Do you
see
like
it.
that screen?
It's way better, Matt. That looks really good.
I was messing with settings last night.
Yeah, there you go.
So I'm just gonna be brief on like kind of how we came up with this. Um, I've been in real estate data for a long time, longer than I've known Andy. And my goal back in 2014-ish was to be able to integrate marketing and data together because at the time, data just got introduced to real estate. And we were able to predict, okay, well, if this person is going through such and such life event that I can track in data or the arithmetic works, just to simplify it, um, I know this person has a high chance of selling. So I know I can increase my response rate if I target this particular person, right? The problem is that, and probably a lot of you have experienced this if you've used data, it's such a heavy lift. And unless you're like some nerd uh, that it just loves this stuff, then you're not gonna be wanting to be running around a map pulling this and using all these different filters to figure all this stuff out, right? And then what do you do with the data? Like once you have it, let's say you've made a perfect list, like what are you going to do with that data, right? Well, now I have to market to it. And I thought all that stuff is missing, right? And I always felt that you could automate the process because I don't know about you, but I don't really like mail day. when you got to send postcards out, and I've done it in various even handwriting stuff, you know, it's just such a drag. I'd rather be talking to people. That's more of my thing, even though I know that's tech stuff. And I know it's probably more of your thing, right? You probably don't want to be pecking around inside systems all day. And you'd rather be out there in front of a homeowner that actually wants to sell their house, you know, or buy a house. So that's where this concept came from, is trying to, you know, put that together and figuring out a way of integrating data and marketing so that your response rate goes up, but you're not spending all day pecking through data or making postcards, right? And just so you know, just a little preview, we've been running a beta test, and the first month on the first touch, we got a 9% response rate. It was actually 8.9%, but close enough, right? 9%. The industry standard is anywhere from 0.7 to 2%. So we've beaten the industry standard by a large margin, right? So I'm going to kind of show you how we did that, and why, and why that is, right? Andy is going to be the realtor, right? And I'm just going to kind of ask him questions and guide him through this process. And everyone can see my screen, right? Andy?
Yep, perfect. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So Andy, where would you say you market around? What's your stomping ground city-wise? Like if I was to give you a listing somewhere, like what cities would you go to?
Uh, so Hermosa, Manhattan, and Torrance.
Yeah, that's in LA County, yeah? Of
Yeah,
course.
LA.
I've been to these places. Hermosa, Manhattan Beach.
Yeah, that's
And
fictitious role
you
playing.
said
Yes,
Torrance,
those are
right?
the areas I market in, Matt.
All right. So that's a large amount of people, right? Like imagine if you sent postcards to like every person in just Torrance alone. That would, Andy. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull all the homeowners in these cities, of which that have single family residences or condos or townhomes, of which there's 55,000 of them, right? Now, you obviously don't want to send out 55,000 mailers to check to see if someone's selling their house. But what we're going to do instead is monitor them, right? That sounds creepy. All right, well, I guess there's no other way of saying it. Uh, Creepy monitor farm. All right, so now I'm going to save it. And now this button appeared, right? This wasn't in this tool before. Now it is, right? With consumers at least. So I'm going to click this button, automate future events. So I am looking for events that will lead to selling a property. Andy, what do you think sells properties? Where do you think
Well, I
out of
mean,
these?
job relocation or some kind of life event or challenge is going on, right? So I'm sure people have to move if there's a divorce. They have to move if there's a death in the house or they get a probate. So yeah, I mean, these are the notable movers in the market today.
So I definitely concur with you that if you're dead, you're not going to be using that property anymore. And it'd probably be passed to an heir, I'd say at that point. Uh, Here's one I could recommend that a lot of people miss out on, are liens, right? These aren't mortgage liens. These are involuntary liens. Like if I always try to stick myself as a marketer, I want to stick myself in the shoes of a homeowner, you know, in these situations. Now, if I got an IRS income tax lien or whatever, right? It's a kind of horrible lien on my house. Like it's probably not there because I'm just swimming in cash and everything's great. It's there because I couldn't pay something, and there's probably a whole bunch of other things that I couldn't pay either. And challenges lead to solutions, and that's where you can move real estate right there, right? And I always say where there's smoke, there's fire. Mortgage default, I think you mentioned that. Yep, that would be definitely a reason why. In fact, I think it's a 40% chance when you get a notice of default that you sell your house within that same year, right? So just so you know, like in a neighborhood, usually you have about a maybe 2 to 5% chance that somebody will move. So 40% is pretty huge. And this is, here's another thing about notice of default. I actually got tired of this data set for quite a while because there were so many people on YouTube saying, oh, go after pre-foreclosures, go after pre-foreclosures, that the minute you send a postcard, it would land on top of like 50 postcards. Or if you knock on the door, you know, the guy's so upset, like by the time you do it, that he's like chasing you down the street. I was over it. But because this is automated, the minute the data is inputted into the system, so the event happens, the marketing automatically happens, right? So I'm the first one to the draw without having to sit here and refresh the data every second to be the first one on the draw, right? Here's another one. Arm resets. Why does someone go into an arm? Because they're usually planning on selling the house within a certain time frame, right? 5 to 10 years. Okay, well then I'm going to go to a 5 or 10 year arm so I can get a lower interest rate. Well, when should I start marketing to somebody that has an arm? I would always market to somebody 7 months prior to when I think that they're going to sell something, right? So here we have a 7 month period right here. It's an arm reset. Yes, they could absolutely refi, and then you can just pass that over to your loan officer partner if you have that. If they want to sell, well, there you go, right? Same with divorce. Divorce, they're either going to sell their house or they're going to cash it out. If they cash it out, then that goes to your LO partner. If they don't, they sell it. Well, now you can sell that house, and they're probably going to be looking on buying another house on top of that, right? And then maybe you can connect with their lawyer as well, and then maybe he has more divorce deals for you if you're doing a good job on that. So that's just a few that I check mark. I would don't just stick to this stuff that I check mark, But I mean, I don't think cash buyers is going to be one. List pendants could be used if we're talking about out of state foreclosures. Bankruptcy, yeah, maybe. Next sellers, you would need to cast a lower net. I'm just going to proceed from here though and move forward. Creepy monitor farm. All right. So what this is saying now is like, okay, we're going to connect the monitoring to PRINTgenie so that marketing goes out anytime these events happen in the future, right? So we're not talking about past events. We're talking about future events. So it's monitoring for things that happen as they go. It's live, right? So I'm going to select self-service right here. And by the way, did you notice that I didn't have to create an account, right? And you won't have to create an account. And the reason why is because we're using single sign-on technology, kind of the same as like if you went, sign in with Facebook or sign in with Google. So it's taking that information from Title ToolBox from your account, it just automatically creates an account. So that just saves, the whole theme of this is saving you a bunch of time, right? So I'm going to go ahead and look at all the campaigns. And Andy, you tell me what you would like.
Yeah, so in this part of the equation, so you have predefined campaigns that are for certain criteria, right? So I would say since we're doing life events, then that would be the direction I would lean, right? So yeah, life events.
There's lots of life events. What's your fave? Well, this looks like pictures of Los Angeles.
Your mic's cutting out a little bit, but I think you said something. It was a
Oh,
little
I was saying, this looks like pictures of Los Angeles. Seems a little like relevant to the areas that you're targeting, right?
perfect. Okay,
What do you think of that?
great.
So there's handwriting on here because handwriting seems to increase the response rate because people look at it harder, right? Andy, do you want text messages and emails going out as well, or do you want to just send postcards?
So for simplicity, let's just wait until I'm compliant to do that. So no, for this time,
Okay.
let's say no.
All right. So just so you know, this is going to go out the minute the event happens, right? Always. So whatever event happens, it's not like your typical mail campaign where you have a static 200 people and then you're just going down this loop. You're adding people in one by one, and each person is its own campaign, if that makes sense, right? So it
Right.
always starts here. So if Bob or Sally ended up dying and then Josh inherited the house and then that hits the database, this immediately goes out, right? It won't, like if you start a campaign and you're in the middle of it on somebody else, it won't be sending, whatever card you're on that person. It won't start like over here, right? It's always going to start right here at the beginning. And then it's going to keep hitting that person, right? Because we know that in marketing, you need to imprint yourself several times, right? There's not one commercial, it's several commercials before you end up buying something. And it's the same with all marketing, right? So if you just drop one postcard, that's not really going to cut it. Even though I guess it did in this scenario that we just had, right? Where we had a 9% response rate on the first touch. That's unusual. Usually in print marketing campaigns, it's not like that. But we have several touches, right? On these, by the way, I want to point something out. There is a QR code that you scan, right? When you scan that home valuation, that's going to take you to a page that's going to, do like an automated value model, basically a CMA for the homeowner. Once that happens, you are notified by text that this homeowner just scanned the QR code. So if they're checking the value of their property and a life event's happening, I would say at that point, it's a pretty strong indicator that they're going to sell, right? So what we're going to do now is set something up the one and only time so that in the future, all my postcards have my stuff on it, right? Even if I want to change to a different campaign, I'll still have all this stuff ready to go. This is the only work, really legwork you're going to have to do is uploading your picture and your logo, right? That's about it. Filling this stuff out. So we have this data to create the postcard. But once you've filled this out and you save it, that's it. Never again will you have to go into PRINTgenie and upload stuff unless you want to change something, right? Then you absolutely can. So I'm looking right now at the proofs on my postcard. And if I want, I could even download a PDF preview, right? Because I think a lot of you probably can see what that was. See how we've Samya guard doesn't really look like a Samya guard, but who knows? So we took all of that stuff that was uploaded and the data that was given, my name, the phone number, we've merged all that onto the postcard. So Andy, is this all good for you?
Yeah, looks good. Thank you.
Perfect. Right. So now that I've made sure that everything is copacetic, I'm going to hit agree. Yep, I like it. I'm going to go ahead and move forward. So I don't have to pay anything. Why? Because nothing's been sent. So this is all set up for the future. As events happen, then I pay something, right? But right now there's no events.
Quick
So,
question before you, because I love that last slide with the handwritten message, that you were showing us. Is
uh-huh.
that a handwritten message that you drafted, or is this drafted for you? Something like, hey, I'm neighbors, I want to help you, support you.
It's something that we've drafted.
But
So it's
there's
already in there?
yeah,
Absolutely.
Wow, that's
there's
awesome.
Yeah.
there's
Otherwise, you know, you'd be like, it's like back at like 2015 when I was handwriting envelopes. Oh my God, I didn't think it was going to be that much work. But when you're sending out like 500 pieces of mail, it's horrible. Even just
well,
writing your name and address.
it might be a little blurry for you, Erica, but so you've got, I mean, he's pretty much done with this part, but it's like whether you're doing a greeting card and you just want to draft it, and we've got font choices for color, and you can make your own stuff. Whatever Matt just showed you, you can just use our Canva-like editor and make your own stuff. You can duplicate any of ours. You can start from scratch. You can change your campaigns. Yeah, so handwritten writing, that's for sure. And then Matt's got like, Matt, why don't you do like, so this, let's connect it and do or you can finish up real quick and then
Yeah,
I'll,
let me finish this up and then we'll stop for questions because we're like really at the end of this part here.
right.
Um, I'm not going to hit activate campaign. That's what you would do because I already have an active account. But I just want to show you kind of what the next screen is. This is where you fund your account, right? So if you every single time a life event happened, you'd have to go in here. That would be kind of annoying. So you could fund your wallet and you can also auto fund your wallet. So you make sure that your campaigns never stop, right? So if I run out of money, don't stop my campaign, please, right?
You can also
Fill it up
budget it,
like
by the way.
fill
That,
it up $100, right? And yeah, you can budget it as
that's
well,
a good one. I love that one. It's my favorite thing.
right? So then once you do that, you activate the campaign. We're gonna get some confetti, but now I gotta make sure I'm paying for the data too, or else there's no data coming in, right? So I'm gonna go back to Title ToolBox and do one more step. But I wanna kind of stop here for questions, if anyone has any.
Oh, you can, and you can unmute yourself if you'd like. I mute everybody on the way in, so you can unmute if you have any questions, or if you want to put it inside, I can read a chat message as well. If you want to put them in the chat.
Yeah, read some of them off for me, Andy, if
Then,
you can. I
so,
accidentally
you
misclicked
know,
on something.
so let me,
There we go.
no, no real question. Some positive feedback, but so carry on then, Matt. Why don't you show them what happens if you were to look at your,
Sure.
okay.
Well, let me first finish I'm gonna finish the loop here and make sure both accounts are funded, both on the data side and on the mail side. So I already did the mail side. Now I just, okay, add $100 in here. I put in my card information and I hit pay, right? So this basically is a wallet and it will just subtract money from the wallet so there's no interruptions. If your wallet gets low because, you've gone through a whole bunch of data, you've, you know, uh, sent it over to PRINTgenie and now it's, a couple months later and things are low, you don't need to, oh my God, I got to set a reminder on my calendar. It actually emails you when that happens. So you can just go back in. I mean, we're all busy in real estate, right? So you get that email, it says, hey, the balance is low. And then you just go in there and top up the account. Does that make sense?
Awesome.
So as time goes on, you're probably going to want to know, hey, what the heck is going on with my campaign, right? Like, am I getting leads? What's cracking, right? Well, you do to get leads text message to you, so that's always good. But then maybe you want to see what's going on with this campaign. Here's one with leads, right? So it's showing me what has gone out. Oh, wow. Okay, so we've had quite a bit of activity here, right? So what if I get a text message and it says, well, someone just scanned to see what the value of the house is. Do I want to go drive to this person's house? In the past, that's kind of been the thing because I remember, what was it, 6 years ago? I'm going to stop saying how many years ago it was, but I was using a different mail provider and I would get scans, and then it would tell me nothing. It would tell me the person's name, right? And it would tell me the address, but I didn't have a phone number. And to me, I'd rather just kind of call and see what's up rather than drive all the way down there and say, hey, you want a CMA? You know? So now you're able to do that. So that was really important to me, just from my own personal experiences to have something like that in here, because I just think it makes marketing way more efficient if I could just reach out and call somebody, right? So what I just did here is I clicked view contacts, and I have everybody in here where I have sent my mail, right? That's been part of this automation. Now, if this person's scanned, I'm just going to click skip trace, and not only will I have their number, I'll have the relatives' numbers. I guess that's why it's called creepy monitor farm. I guess I don't know why you'd want to call their relatives, but it gives you, all the best numbers that we can possibly find, right? So it's a pretty powerful skip trace utility. So you just click that. Some of you might ask how much it costs. I think it's 10 cents if I'm not mistaken, Andy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, it's like 10 cents. That's a lot less than driving down to go see, this person. All right, I'm gonna stop here for some questions.
Yeah. So let's see here. I'll tell you, Matt. Under the events use, John, I understand the events you select trigger the mailings. Yes. But is there a queue you can monitor that gives you a heads up if you want to combine with other marketing, etc.?
A queue.
You
Only
can
I
unmute
guess.
yourself, John, if you want.
Yeah. Can you unmute? Oh, does it give you a notice? Not at this time. We definitely talked about that. About like kind of just, because that's the way that back. So I'll give you a little history. Before Title ToolBox, there was Rebo Gateway, and that was there already, right? Where a life event happened, and it would email you and tell you, hey, this divorce just happened over here, give you the name and address. But what I found over the years was that people just didn't chase it. They didn't chase those leads. Nobody did. And it just ended up being like a utility, where if I looked at, I always looked at usage reports. It's kind of how I came up with this idea, is I was look at usage reports and I'd see people just use the data tool for like maybe a month or two and pay for a year subscription. And while maybe gyms, that's how they make their money and they're cool with that. Like, I'm not cool with that. I would rather see people actually use the data, and the marketing to get something from it rather than just collect their money because they forgot about it, you know? So that's kind of how this came into fruition. So that's why we didn't aim at that as like the, first thing that we want to put out. I wanted to do something that hasn't been done before, and then make it something that people are actually going to get something from it, right? Like actually earn commission.
Thank you. That answers my question.
Okay.
Of course.
Thanks, John. Alberto, how much are postcards? They range. So we have, first of all, you've got some friends in the house here because let's see what the pricing is. Let me bring it up. Well, because of those that brought you here today, I'll tell you, most of the agents send out an 8.5 or a 9x6, or 8.5, 5.5, or a 9x6, and to send one is 79 cents. So 79 cents, and that's full first class, no minimums. So whether you're on your mobile app and you're sending it from our mobile app, or you're running it through your own CRM, or you're ordering it here on the platform, there you go. Is there minimum of farm area homes?
No, that's actually the great part about it. The great part about it is there is no mail minimums. It actually took me a while to find, and it was right in front of me, my the person I've been working with for 10 years, right? But it took me a while to find anybody that would send out one mailer, right? Because that's the only way that this works. if there's a death, only one death, uh, then I'm only sending out one postcard today. So if there's a minimum of 200 postcards, like most mail vendors, it's impossible to do.
Right.
So there's no minimums on the mail, which is awesome. There's no minimums on the farm area. What I would say though is that if you're monitoring just 200 people, you're not going to get anything. You saw I picked a few cities, you know, or you can use zip codes or maybe subdivisions, but you probably want to pick a segment of at least 20,000 people, or I usually aim for like 25 to 30,000, right, to get your normal amount of mail that goes out.
That to capitalize on that. So someone wanted to monitor only divorce leads. And so you had and she wanted a large area. So we found that there was obviously less divorce leads in that area based on how it was released. There was more death, maybe divorce or lis pendens and that was happening or affidavit of deaths going on. So what we discovered was you have to be, like what Matt just said, you have to be a little aware that you can't just say, I want to monitor all California. That's not going to work. And you can't monitor perhaps all cities in LA because that's not going to work. I think, I can't recall, Matt, but somewhere maybe around 3 cities would be around 30 to 50,000 people. And this is generally an average, right? So around three.
Yeah, it just depends on this. It really depends on the size of the city. Like that's why I kind of did the get count thing, right? Earlier,
Yeah, that's
which
good. Show
you
them that
always
because
have to do anyways. So if I put in, I don't know why it keeps going to Texas.
that's where the accounts, it'll pull up
Oh, I see.
whenever you log in, it'll bring you to your location here normally.
So if I'm targeting Beverly Hills, right? How many homeowners is that? 11,653, right? But if I'm targeting Los Angeles proper, it's probably so big that it won't even let me pull it, right? Because I think it's like over 500,000. Yeah, over 500,000 is too large, right? So I wouldn't want 500,000 people anyways. I would want something that's probably like 20 to 30,000, right? So it really depends on the city. And you can go by zip code. You can also add in subdivision and you can go by subdivision as well.
Powerful. So I think to John's question, there's no minimum of farm area per se, but if you wanted to have a lot of farm areas, my suggestion would be create your 3 cities, save that as a save search, assign it to the appropriate campaign, create 3 more cities, assign it to the appropriate campaign, and so you'll have maybe 5 or 6, maybe you have, I don't know, 15 different cities. You have 5 or 6 different active and running campaigns. They're all doing the same result. And then it gets powerful too, because you might be like, well, I have a VA that's going to answer the ones that are going to call on East LA, and so you can change your phone numbers on the campaign. So you might choose a campaign for East LA and then have a VA answer the phone calls on that, when people, call in on that one. And then you'll assign it to maybe on the west, on the coastal side, you'll have a different campaign or different cities and perhaps a different set of campaign postcards or letters. And then you can have a different number associated with that as well. But so I'd stick to about 3 cities per monitoring list or per monitor. But there's no minimum to how many you do. I just did one the other day with I think it was like 10 different, accounts or 10 different list searches.
And use more than one life event, right?
Oh, for
Like
sure.
maybe you do specialize in probate, but that doesn't mean that the only houses you'll ever sell are only probate situations, right? Like you can specialize in that, but that doesn't mean that's all you should target, because that just limits the amount of people that you're hitting. To me, you should always send out at least 200 postcards a month. So that's what I'm doing my math off of, is because I ran some tests and I looked at, okay, if I tagged like most of the top life events that would, turn a property over, like how many of those life events happen per month? What I found was that, amongst like 20 to 30,000 people, some life events you know, at least 200 life events are going to happen in a month. That's not guaranteed, but that's, you know, kind of the math I did through tests. If you're only targeting 1,000 people in a small farm, it would be horrible if uh 200 life events happened amongst those people. In fact, you know, like if you had 200 people dying among 1,000 people, you probably don't even want to be in that neighborhood. Maybe there's like a ramp, like the Ebola virus is broken out or something, right? So you kind of have to look at logic and then think about, okay, well, what's realistic here, right? Probably 20, 30,000. This is where life events would happen. Enough that I can send out 200 postcards, and that's where the math works, right? You need 200 postcards to convert a good amount where you're making, you know, buku bucks in real estate.
That's a good assessment. So generally have multiple life events monitoring, generally have about 3 cities, generally guesstimate somewhere, hopefully hitting around 200 new leads per month. And then that gives you some good kind of starting points. And I know that the reps, when you work with them, they'll log in and be able to go, okay, historically within these 3 cities, it looks like in the last 2 months, 32 people have been notified as, death or affidavit of death. Cool. How many people have gone through something like, something else like bankruptcy? Okay, it looks like there's 12 of these people in the last 2 months. So it kind of gives you some insight. So when you lean on your title rep to kind of go through some of this assessment, several things that you can consider are my avatar, right? I know the type of avatar I want to go after. It's going to be 10 years or older house. It's going to be 30% equity or better. It's going to be a single family residence. It's going to be, something along the coast. Cool. And then the value of the home and the beds and baths, stuff like that. So I'll define my avatar and then I'll extract the percentage of those leads that I want to market with. Say I'm okay, my budget this month to get the party started, it's $1,000. So I'll export those leads and it'll give me, and I'll take the 25,000, reduce it to 1,000, and then I'll say export. And instead of dynamically data and monitoring future events, I'm going to say just export. And it'll take those 1,000 leads or whatever I've chosen and ingest them into PRINTgenie where I can order a campaign or a single postcard or something like that. So that's how I monitor, what I want right here, right now with real leads. Perfect. Now that you've set up that, that little micro set of your avatar, and you've already marketed to those 1,000 people, now you're saying, awesome, moving forward, I want to convert this to what we're calling dynamic data, where dynamic data is going to listen to life events moving forward on that same avatar set that I just pre-qualified. So imagine how powerful it is when you get your title rep to assign the right avatar to your right list. And yeah, you can start marketing right here, right now, and maybe send a postcard. That's the easiest thing to digest. I want to send out a home val product, and it's a tire kicker, right? Home valuation, you can get anywhere you want. I'm not devaluating our product, but it is a tire kicker. But the real value is all they have to do is scan that QR code. They don't have to fill out anything. They don't even have to look at it. But the act of scanning it will then notify you on your phone. So you got notifications on your phone.
Well, I
So,
wouldn't say it's a tire kicker. It's more of like you're farming for engagement, right? That's what marketing is. Like
right.
the engagement aspect of it, because engagement leads to conversion, right? We want to convert this person. So we need something to get them engaged. The scanning the value of your house. If you're going to be living in that house for the next 20 years, you don't really care what the value of your house is, right?
There
Like
you go.
at that point, like it's just bragging rights. Maybe you go on Zillow or whatever. But if I am thinking about selling my house and I get your postcard, I'm like, okay, well, I'm thinking about selling my house in a few months. I wonder how much it's worth, right? And then they scan it because they have their phone on them. Everybody does, right? And QR
Right.
codes is a thing nowadays. So they scan it and boom, now you get a text message. This person scanned it, right? Now what's the next step? I'm going to call them up and try to convert them, right? And the reason why I say 200 postcards is because if you go do all the math that your real estate coach told you, look at, okay, what percentage of people that engage convert? And then how many people, that I have listing appointments for will convert into actual listings, right? All that math works off of sending at least 200 postcards out. And once you find that winning recipe, you scale it to more, right? So you send out 500, 1,000, right? Until you're at capacity, or you go build a team, one of the two.
That's a good one. There's a,
Can you
let's see,
show an example of the postcard again? Yes, absolutely.
let me jump in, Matt.
Sure.
Let me grab, let me stop your share and I'll grab a share for a second here.
Okay.
And then you tell me, Matt, if you can see my screen. Do you see that?
Yep.
So just to kind of to show you, and I won't labor over this, but mail templates, the platform's built up, of course, to send mail, postcards, letters, and greeting cards, etc. Right? So yeah, you can make your own stuff, right? And all you have to do is click the pencil, and then you can edit your own material. It'll duplicate ours, and then you can just go ahead and edit it as in any way you want. It's not Canva, but it's a powerful template editor that allows you to do all the things we've done here: variable data. Dear Mary, I want to talk to you about your house at 123 Main Street, that kind of thing. So in reference to what Matt was talking, I think I forget the question here, or Amy was asking, but
He just wanted to look at the postcards that came up again.
perfect. So certainly there's categories, right? So you can click on a category and find it. You can view all here, and then you can subset that by going, okay, I see 12 pages, show me 36 at a time. There's a lot. So what's the goal here? I don't want to give you analysis paralysis. So I want you to understand that from my perspective of building this thing, it was to eliminate analysis paralysis. So my suggestion is what you do is you have a campaign that's preset that says and looks and feels exactly like you'd like. And then what I call it is feeding the beast. How do you feed the beast? Well, you're out and about, you met someone, you can open up your mobile device. And if we have time, I'll show you how that works. And you can tag a person and they're going to get that campaign, right? So you already have a preconceived campaign that's perfect for the person you just met. You already have a preconceived campaign that's perfect for the buyer that you just have. You're standing in front of a house that you just listed. You take a selfie in front of it and send it to the 30 nearest neighbors, all from your phone, right? I'm not logging into a platform, getting analysis paralysis and going, well, I wonder what it looks like with blue ink or black ink or red ink, or you're spending a little bit of time pre-creating the material, favoriting your campaigns that you want to hit for those different scenarios. And then, and the platform gives you plenty of tools to be able to do that kind of stuff, right? So yes, you can make your own templates. Yes, you can use ours. Yes, there are a lot of campaigns to choose from, but everything's got, a searchable function to, looks like a lot of people on here.
I think to be noted, you saw that screen earlier that I was on. We slimmed down, like, cause as you can see, there's like a lot of templates. We slimmed down the amount that you see on the life events to be more relevant to what you're trying to do, if that makes sense. You can always grab stuff from other assets. You could definitely go in and, go through, 100,000 different templates. I wanted it more simplified. So we kept it to like 3 pages of ones that pertain to like what we're doing here with the automation. But you could definitely customize postcards as well.
Perfect. Yeah. And that Matt's got a great point. So we didn't want to give you analysis paralysis. I talked about what I call premeditated marketing, where you already have campaigns and they're ready to go, right? You already know what you want. You can favorite them. They show up here under your favorites. That way you're not bogged down by marketing. You should not be spending your time marketing. That's why we have dynamic data, right? So, and your question here of show an example of the postcard again, please. Oh, okay. I guess we did that, Amy. So, but to Matt's point, you might pick your favorites and then favorite them and things like that, but you're going to have them. Once you favorite them, you have them in your favorites. And that way you don't have to go looking for them anymore. And then some things you can do is say, of my favorites, which ones have a Google Street View? Well, actually, I don't have any of that one. So what's a Google Street View? That's where the photo shows up, or, of the person's house. Hey, we have buyers. Is this your house? That type of thing. Or you could take a photo like I talked about, or in reference to that home val. Home val is where we dynamically create this QR code that takes a person to their, landing page, and then you're notified. So a couple points of interest real quick, I think, before I go too far, but at the bottom right is live chat. So you're never alone, right? You can always go click here and it'll get a live person for you. It'll ask you some preliminary questions and give you some suggestions, but there's always a live person. We're not an annoying company that just makes you hunt down and find. I could never talk to anybody. That's not
And
our.
it's not a bot.
What's that?
And it's not a bot.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And Actually, in full disclaimer, the first questions are a little bit bot related, but
Well,
anyway,
yeah, but I'm saying like the whole time, a lot of
no,
a
no,
lot of sites you're like, I was just on one yesterday. I guess that's why it hit home
so
was
annoying.
because I kept telling it something and it's like, I don't understand. I was like, could you give me a live agent, please? My
Yeah.
God.
Not going down that route, right? Exactly. So good point, Matt, right? But everything's segmented based on categories and structures and stuff like that. And then you do have like what Matt was suggesting, this live chat here and over here on help. But so what I want to do is this. I'd
Well,
encourage you to
hold
get a
on.
hold of your
Let's see if there's other questions too.
looking here. Yeah,
I do
ask
have a
away.
couple questions actually. One is going back to the postcard. You said make sure they scan the QR code. Is that a QR
Yeah.
code that you add, or is that in one of these templates?
So
That's a good
when
question. So the QR code's actually generated for you and you have a landing page. I kind of skipped through a piece there and that was putting in my phone number, right? So when you're setting this up, you're shown what the landing page looks like and then you could type in your phone number and that's for text messages to come to you when somebody scans that QR code. When they scan that QR code, they're taken to a landing page that tells them the value of their house, right? And it's up to you from there to contact that person, if that makes sense.
And so I'm not creating a CMA to tell them your
Oh,
house is really, this is just literally,
no, no.
you just add QR code, and that means when they scan that, they'll just get to some sort of website. What website do they get to see the home evaluation?
It's a landing page. So the way, not to get too much into the weeds, but the way that the value is created is kind of like how you would create your CMA. It's just an automated way of doing it. The data, that you're using is used for title companies, obviously since consumers has it, right? The title companies and lenders use what's called automated value models to determine, hey, is this appraisal right or is it weird, right? That same data is used to tell the homeowner that scanned it like what the value of their house is without all the gook that you usually get with AVM data. It just gives them what the value is.
Great. And I'm also assuming that you can upload
Stay
your own
stay on that
contact
page
list.
so
what's
she
that?
can see it. Yeah, there you go. What's that?
So
I'm sorry.
And so so this is wonderful. And what I'm also assuming is you can upload your own lead list. You don't, I mean,
Absolutely, and you can automate it. You can monitor your past clients. Absolutely. You just go in here. Oh,
the
well, I guess I'd have to
contacts.
show you. You would go into farming and then you go to upload and you just upload your CSV of contacts in there and save it
Mhm.
and automate it just like you would anything else.
and then
Great.
once you have
So yeah, that's a great point that you just brought up because I don't even know why I didn't bring it up. Yeah, you could take your past clients and throw them all in there and you could just monitor your past clients as well,
once
right? I would definitely suggest monitoring more than your past clients because unless you have like 50,000 past clients, uh, you're not going to get tons of events, but for sure you could do that.
you
Thank
have,
you.
you have the option to upload your own list. You have, I keep referring to it, but you have a mobile app too, where it'll pull leads, all the information you want to send mail. You can do it from your phone. You can explore that. There's, no charge for it. Just download it from the App Store, PRINTgenie. When you're ordering campaigns, you can see full, clear vision where you are in the campaign structure, where they are in the pipeline. It kind of gives you, some insight to, okay, this campaign started, on the 2nd of October. The first time that the person's going to get mail is on the 13th of October. This is the mail piece, and then you can look at a proof down here. I don't know
Yep,
what
you could definitely get as granular as you want. Let's get to the next question.
there. Yeah, and Erica, do you have any more? And I know there's no more on the chat, so you're welcome to unmute yourself.
Yeah, you're totally. Yeah, you guys can just jump in by voice if you want.
Yeah, there's you know, in the you know, just over talk if at any given time, but just some points of interest, right? So this one we talked about happens to be a home val, and we give you that information there. Your next step is just to, what do you want to do? Well, I just imported a list. I want to send them something else. So just select your list that you got from Title ToolBox, select your list, or upload it here, right? In the process here, and there's your list. Whatever you can have. Here's a list of 6, here's a list of 5, here's a list of 7, right? Doesn't make a difference. You'll hit OK. The other things you can do from within the platform is maybe you just want to send one and your phone's in the other room and you don't want to go get it, but you can do it here and just type in an address or search any address and send one person something. If you want to do a nearest neighbor, just hit a couple, you know, in the radius of a half a mile, hit 10 people that you just listed a property, and then we can go find those leads for you too. Right. So there's lots of ways to do what you want to do. And I can't suggest strongly enough that you define your plans on those methodologies of, I have buyers, I just listed a property, I just met someone, right? I have prospecting or retention. You know, so think of those things when you work with your title rep to get them to define your marketing strategies. And then we can do that for you as well. We can help you through that as well. In conjunction with your title rep, and we can help and align you with what we don't want to do is think, oh my God, I got to make postcards and letters and I got to match my brand. I'm suggesting that you don't do that. I'm suggesting you work with us, call us and reach out to us and say, I love it. I would love it if, and then just fill in the blank. I would love it if these weren't apples. I like bananas. I would love it if I matched my brand. We are a small brokerage and there's 6 of us and we want the same brand methodology and messaging to go out for all of us. Lean on us, lean on your title rep to answer those questions and they'll get you set up. Easiest thing you could possibly do is call your title rep, get them to schedule time with you, have your photo and logo ready with you, because it will cost you $0 to connect to PRINTgenie and start dynamically marketing to your potential leads without any dollars up front. You're literally just turning it on, and then when a lead happens, that's when you'll pay your $4 or $5, depends how many leads per day. But definitely have your logo and photo readily available. Otherwise, your title rep's going to be like, can't
Yeah, that's
connect.
kind of a good point. And I kind of want to end it on that. Yeah, so I mean, like, all the title reps and consumers, FYI, like, they've been trained on using this data for several years, a lot of them. I know because I've trained quite a few of them, and some of them even know tricks that I don't at certain points. I think your title rep's a great resource to figure out like what your campaign's, you know, supposed to do and like how to get results. But yeah, showing up with like your logo and your profile picture will make it so you can actually complete the loop, you know, as you're going through this, or if you're going through it with me or Andy, right? Because sometimes we show up on some of these calls, like a little surprise visit, and we'll give some advice too. But having your profile picture and your logo and everything ready to go is pretty key, because then we can complete like the whole thing and you don't have to come back and figure out how we did it all over again, right? Is there any other questions? Because I'm just going to turn it back over to Billy. If not, cool. So I'd say that's a wrap. The main point, just choose where you want to market to, choose your postcard, and just auto market. That's it. You don't need to sit there on mail day trying to figure out who you're going to hit or what are you going to do, or, you know, importing, exporting, and all that other stuff. Or even making an account, I guess, at this point. Everything's done for you. Welcome to the future.
Yeah.
We'll be adding a AI layer on this in the second phase that's going to be predictive. So that's what's incoming for this whole project. We're kind of gathering data on response rates and what works and what doesn't. So that's why we are measuring the response rate. Like I said, I mean, me and Andy, we're in the business of trying to make people money. I don't want to yet another smoke and mirror ghost tool that we've all seen before, where they say, oh, it's a 70% chance that this person's going to sell, but you knock on every door that's a 70% chance and they don't want to sell, right? So what we want to make is like something that actually produces money. And I think we've knocked that out at this point, looking at the numbers.
Just one pragmatic point to bring up is you need to go through your title rep to get into PRINTgenie. You can't just go to printgenie.io and then discover it and sign in. You won't get the pricing. You'll have to pay 25% more. And if you come into your title rep, it'll automatically create your account for you, so you don't have to worry about doing anything manual as well. Other than that, don't be a stranger. Lean on us as much as you
Yep.
can, we don't want you to get a headache. If you get a headache, that means we didn't do our job. So I want you to go to live chat or the help section at the bottom right of the screen. Lean on your title rep. But I'm happy to help you guys. I'm super happy
Yeah.
that we spent time together today.
John, you would where you submit your future. Yep, exactly. Consumer's title, whoever your rep is, that is where you'd submit your questions. They've all been trained on this, so yeah, they got this. And if they need help, by the way, they're the only ones that could reach us like a phone call away. They have Andy's cell phone number, they have my cell phone number, and we often do jump in, like if if there's like some kind of difficult task to complete, or you got to like a request that's outside the ordinary, we definitely jump in to help out. So that's your avenue. Hit up your title rep. Billy, you have any parting words?
Thank you, Erica. Great questions.
I think Billy's there.
Okay. So we'll record this. Reach out to your title rep, and you can certainly reach out to PRINTgenie as well. But we're happy that you spent time with us today. Thank you, Matt. That was awesome.
Thank you, Andy, for helping build this.
Yeah,
It's
I love it.
huge. Yeah, this is like a dream come true.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Okay, guys, have a great day. Thanks for your time. Talk to you soon. Thank you,
Yep, see
everybody.
ya.
Bye now.